Hello lovely people, welcome to the video. My name's Athena. I am a writer working on my first book whilst homeschooling my two girls and being with them 24/7. I am currently slap dam in the middle of revisions for draft 3. I have draft 3 right here, looking like a mess. I have not filmed in 2 weeks. I have been doing work over these 2 weeks, but I've also had a sinus infection and a cold and just everything. I have been so sick, it is ridiculous. Finally getting over that. I finished part 1, revision of part 1, so marking it up, marking the world building, the character arcs, anything I wanted to pay attention to, changing things, shifting things around. There are large chunks of, not the entire thing, but large chunks of part 1 need rewriting. That is the reality of it. I embraced it and I actually marked up what the changes are going to be. So it's really fun. I finished that when I said I was going to finish that. So that has been, it is the 4th of August today. I finished that about a week ago. And then I jumped into revision, like I kind of continued into part 2. I had been contemplating doing part 1, marking up part 1 in my draft, my printed draft, and then doing the starting working on it and writing it and doing all the thing and then going back and forth. I can't do that. I can't do that. I kept on working because that's just how my brain works. I work really linearly, like in a linear fashion, basically. Like I just go straight through. I can't help myself. I kept going and then I hit another road bump on Friday, this past Friday, where I reached the point where my critique partner has given me feedback. Like that's the last point she's read. Just past the first third of part 2 of the book. And I spent the weekend, I gave myself the weekend. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to work on the book over the weekend. I'm going to give myself 2 days of doing other things. I had to do a whole bunch of homeschool stuff. I had to do a whole bunch of other things. And I'm going to let my mind just kind of think about this because there are 2 options, okay? Option number 1 is, since I'm doing revisions of draft 3, preparing for draft 4, and since part 1 of draft 3 is just, it needs a whole bunch of rewriting, I could just start the rewrites. I could start working on part 1 and bringing it up to par and then kind of moving into, because part 2, as I started revising it, etc., does indeed not need as much revision as part 1. There's not as much like complete reshuffling and rewriting and whatnot. So I thought maybe I can start working on part 1, and by the time I'm done with all of that, definitely my critique partner will have, if not finished everything, will be way, way further down, and that will allow me to work on part 2. Then the other option is I have now picked up momentum. I have been charging through, marking up things, switching things around. There are not big things, but small things, etc., things where I'm going to be adding information, etc., that are impacted from the changes in part 1. So part 2 has certain impacts. The story kind of continues with minor changes, differences, improvements because of the changes I've made up to now. And my head is kind of set on this new storyline now, like is on the improved storyline. Let's say that. So my linear brain is telling me that I need to keep going, mark up everything, make my notes based on like all the changes and stuff that I've already made and how it's kind of continuing through the story, hit the end of the book, and then go to the beginning and start working on it. And as more feedback comes in, I can then go over that again and just, there's a box flying outside. I was kind of distracted for a second. And as the new feedback comes in, I can then kind of incorporate that as I, because it's like, there are a lot of things where me and my critique partner, like she understands a lot of what I'm doing. So it's very rare where I will see like something she says and I'll be like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Unless it's like completely like some misunderstanding, etc. So I'm kind of like, I was stuck. I was very, very stuck. And I know the normal, I mean, for who isn't normal? So I asked on I'm in like a couple of writing groups online, and I was like, what do you guys think? Should I wait for my critique partner, start working on like the first part of the book and wait for my critique partner to finish before kind of moving on with my own revisions? Should I just go through revisions myself and just kind of incorporate feedback later? Is it going to be a huge waste of time? This is the thing, okay? This is the thing. For example, I'm looking at a scene now. Like I have like the next couple chapters where, again, I have no feedback from anyone else other than just, it's great from other people like my mom or my sister-in-law, etc. Where I'm looking at a scene, I'm like, I don't know why this scene is here. And my first initial note to myself when I kind of quickly read through it initially was, do I need this scene? And now having done all this revision and done all this work up to this point, I can see that I don't really need this scene. Like the tiny smidge of information that's in it can be moved elsewhere comfortably, and I don't need a whole bunch of like, yeah, it's like 4 or 5 pages of just why. Because I've got like a character acting completely out of character. There's a, how would you say that? I have a character acting out of character. English, words. Anyway, there's this guy in the story and he's acting completely out of character in the scene. Like it's completely not him. And then there's just not much information being given on other topics. And then there's this little snippet where I'm like, why? Like, why is that a thing? So if not cut out completely, I can definitely trim it down. It does not need to be what it is right now, for example. And I know that, despite like what my critique partner will say, I know that that needs to happen, you know? And I know that there's a specific scene where I need to change certain things, cut them out, and add something that has shifted because of change in the first part. Again, that would happen despite my critique partner like saying something else about the scene, because she could say, oh, I really like the scene, but it's like, it's not working for me in my story right now, though. You get it? Yeah, okay. So I spent like a lot of back and forth, like, should I stop here, go back? Let me clarify the options. Option number 1, stop revisions, go back to the beginning of part 1 and start actually editing, actually typing into the document. Option number 2, continue my own revisions and then just go back and incorporate feedback as it comes in from my critique partner so that I can finish the whole book, mark it all up, and then take it from the start again and start editing. That is how my brain works. The reality is that is how my brain works. I cannot, like right now, I sat down and I tried to test myself and I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna look at my prologue. Can I suddenly jump from where I am right now and start working on the prologue? I cannot. It's too much brain power, it's too much of a process of pulling myself out of the middle of the story, and I'm right in the middle of the action right now, like things are happening, and putting myself back to the beginning and kind of working in what I need to work in there. It's just, I can't, you know, whilst sitting down and looking at my scenes and moving on and continuing my revision process, I have the momentum, the story is still flowing in my head, the corrected version is still flowing in my head, and I can actually sit down and continue working through that. So that just makes a lot more sense. I have spent way too much time working against my brain and against how I function when it comes to this book. I have wasted a lot of time really battling with myself and trying to get myself to do things the way other people think I should do them, the way I see other people doing them, and I think, oh, I need to do it that way, rather than just following. And I know technically it might be a waste of time, as in I could finish all of these revisions, start working, and then the feedback I get might make me want to change something. I don't feel that at this point where I've reached now in this second half of the book, I don't think any feedback could make such big, huge, drastic changes. The big drastic changes have happened in the first part. They are impacting the rest of it in a normal kind of linear fashion. I don't think it's going to be as bad as like I was kind of making it up in my head, where I was like, what if like, you know, I get this feedback that completely annihilates everything I've thought of? It's not possible. Because this is my story and this is how I want to tell it. So yes, the feedback I have received has made me question things and kind of be like, oh yeah, I need to add that. Like why isn't she thinking about her friends here? And why on earth is she doing this here? But I have also, because I've kind of gone through so much of it right now, like I am 206 pages into a, how many pages is this? 340 pages. So 340 pages, I am 207 pages in, and I have definitely, like I'm questioning things. I am questioning like, why are they doing that? And what are the motivations for that? And what is the point of this scene? Like I have just gotten into this process that I cannot get out of right now. I cannot switch modes halfway through. It's impossible. So instead of wasting time, because that would be wasting time, trying to get myself into editing mode and like writing it up instead of like marking up and like looking through the story this way, I'm gonna keep going. I'm going to give myself this week to finish part 2 for sure. Like by Friday, I want to be done with part 2. And then next week, I would say I'll be done with part 3 because it's not as much work. Part 3 probably needs a few little things, a few additions really. But I think part two I might even finish sooner than like Friday, I think, to be honest with you guys. But we shall see, we shall see. The goal I think at this point is that by next week's update, when I chat with you guys. I really want to try to vlog styles, but I keep saying I'm going to try to do a vlog and I never do it, so I'm not going to promise too much, but yeah. The goal for this week, and what I will be updating you guys on next Monday, so on the, what is it, the 11th? The 11th, will be that I have finished part 2. Part 2 of the book will have been revised, gone over, marked up to an inch of its life. Ideally, I would want to be moving into part 3. Like, if I've done more than that, that would be great. But I'm kind of okay with the idea. I'm thinking, like, ideally, I would want to be done with revisions by the 15th of August. Just wraps up nicely in my brain. 15th of August, I'll be done with that, and then I can start editing. I can start actually writing and working on the first part. And as I reach the middle of the book again, with any new feedback I have, I will kind of just go over it again and be like, okay, this is what I had marked. This is what my critique partner thinks. Do they coincide? Do they not? Is there anything extra that I may have missed? It's a work in progress at all times. I think that's gonna serve me better than trying to get myself to do something that I'm just not. I can't do it, you know? Because I've done, as I said before, and I will repeat myself because I think it's important, I have spent a lot of time when it comes to this book. Yes, it's a learning curve. Yes, it's a learning process. It is my first book that I've written from start to finish. The first book I'm trying to really just actually make it a thing. And I've been learning, but I've also really, really struggled at times because I have been fighting how my brain works. And that is, you know, I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so with all that being said, that is all for this update. I have done what I had set out to do. I got very sick, but I still managed to get through it, so yay for me. I think the goal is to be done by the 15th of August with this revision. It's like 130 pages of revision, but it's not all, like, it's not too much moving forward, so we'll see. We'll see. Because I'm also doing quite a bit of line editing, I find, and I'm trying to avoid doing line editing because I don't think that's, like, it's not a line edit pass. Like, the next pass will be a line edit. I don't need this to be a line edit, so I'm trying to stop myself when I fall into the, you know, little rabbit hole of line editing and actually going line by line, because I don't need to do that. I am cutting out a lot of things. I'm definitely cutting out, like, paragraphs and sentences, and yeah, I'm definitely being brutal. And that's okay, because it's an 140,000 word manuscript that needs to be cut down. Okay? Okay, and I'm adding stuff at points, and I'm like, this is not good. We shall see, we shall see. Anyway, I don't want to make this video super long for no reason. I will see you guys in the next